Meeting to order.
Much for my wisdom,
Oh, yeah,
I was just sharing.
thank you. Okay, we have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I think you all received the agenda and the minutes and the financials by mail or by email. Are there any questions or comments or anything?
I just think it needs to be pointed out that the staff's done a hell of a job of staying within budget, and it looks like we're gonna have a chance of surviving another year.
I think that's
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Public comment. Would our public like to make any comments?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, then we will move forward. Lana,
Good morning.
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 That was very nice.
We're all set.
I do.
fired up.
We'll start by telling you, you'll all appreciate this, I have to zoom out of here at 8:15 to go do a welcome and presentation to Black Hills Energy. So this won't take long. All right.
You're gonna make SWAT, yeah.
Prospect 319, Project Zodiac through the Department of Commerce, we've not heard any response to that from the Department of Commerce. Prospect 219, we did submit a site to them. I did put in a call to him last week, and he's gonna get back with me to follow up and let me know how things are going on that project. 8181, Project Birmingham. We continue to move forward with this project. We had some additional meetings last week, working out some utility discussions and so forth, so certainly keep you posted. 118, excuse me, was another Department of Commerce RFP. I'm assuming we can probably take this one off the list now since they haven't gotten back to us and it's been well over a year now. Pinkies, their contractors are working with Neighborhood Development Services right now, whether or not they need a permit, so they're working through those discussions. They did do an e-community loan with us, and they have finished all of that paperwork and received their loan, and are hoping that they can open before the end of the year. We'll see how fast their contractor is. Project Rochester, that's the project First National Bank is doing, and we've been working with them on a few things. We're hoping that we'll be able to put a Veterans Memorial in their development, because it's going to be right along Tally Trail, and we think that'd be a really nice place for one. So working with them on that, as well as obviously looking to find additional tenants to move into their development. We've had conversations now with 3 different businesses, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to fill that up quickly and get it developed. 5163 is a value-added agricultural project. We are working with a buyer out of Japan, the gentleman that was here last month at our meeting, and hoping to get some additional value-added opportunities out of that relationship as well. Transload site, FCEDC has given them 2 new prospects to look at for the Garden City Industrial Park, and right now it's just a matter of being able to make room for additional projects to land in there. They do have a contract on an additional 140 acres to add to the facility, and the first try at that rezoning went before the Planning Commission last week, and the Planning Commission had questions about it going I3, which is the heavy industrial zoning, and preferred that it go light to medium industrial. In visiting with Jim Orr, that's not a problem for them. They just wanted to ensure that they would be able to add additional rail at some point if that would become necessary. And I did confirm with Neighborhood Development Services that light to medium industrial does allow for that. So I believe we're going to go ahead and resubmit this zoning request to them in the hopes that we can get that handled quickly. They can finish the purchase of the property. And again, it allows us to locate additional businesses in the facility should somebody choose to do that. The additional development that we've been working on for industrial development, We've continued to have some discussions. We've looked at specifically the utility infrastructure and the transportation infrastructure that'll be required there. So we'll continue to work through that and see if we can get some properties developed. Lots of meetings, continue to have lots of meetings, all good, fortunately. Excuse me. A couple of things I'll mention. I did have the opportunity to do Mike Ward's gardening show. I didn't talk about gardening. You'll all be happy to hear that. He does a radio show every Saturday morning on KBUF, and it was very nice to be able to do that. He just wanted to talk about economic development and the things that are happening in the community. So it was a very nice deal. If you haven't listened to that, it's a pretty neat show. He does a nice job with it. We're continuing to work with Garden City Community College on builders training. I think Nicole can give you some additional updates on that, but we're very excited about the opportunities that we're discovering there. We've had a couple of more conversations about childcare with other communities and looking at ways that we can assist them with putting together the stakeholder groups in their own communities and so forth. And I did travel to Wichita last week. The Kansas Leadership Center asked me to be there as part of a panel for the article that they did when they launched the article. And I actually have a copy of that magazine that I'll let you guys pass around. Very, very cool article. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it, so we're excited about that. And just about to the point where I think we've got the boot camps put together where we can allow communities to register, come to Garden City for a couple of days and just immerse themselves in how to go home and tackle childcare in their own communities. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. And we did have the Finney County Child Care and Early Learning Board meeting last night. It went very, very well again. So things are continuing to move forward there. And as I said, I will be leaving here this morning to go welcome the Black Hills Energy corporate team. Phil Escarino was able to secure one of their nationwide corporate meetings to come to Garden City. So we're very excited to have him here. And they asked me to do a presentation on the diversity and economic growth of Finney County. So fortunately, those are both things I can speak to. Any questions?
The Child Care Board meeting, excuse me, is that the second one you've had now? Second
Third.
board meeting? Third?
Third.
Good. And your board's full and
Yeah,
structured,
so we actually last night voted to change the regularly scheduled meetings as KCSL, Kansas Children's Service League. It's very important to us that we have a representative from KCSL on the board. And Mary Martha Good, who has come back and is working with KCSL, was not available on the fourth Tuesday, which is when we had originally set the meetings for. So we changed those meetings to the third Tuesday to accommodate her schedule. So now I think we'll be able to have everybody available for the meetings. So
good.
yeah, it's working very well. Western State Bank has been very gracious in hosting us, and
Well, I would expect nothing less.
of course you wouldn't.
You
And
trained them well.
they, it pays when you see a high-functioning board. I mean, each of the individuals that are on the board have a great experience with how that works, and it's really fun to watch a board like that work together. They've become very cohesive very quickly, and it's going to be a great board of directors. So.
Lana mentioned that Project Birmingham, we had a meeting last week with them to cover a few additional points, and we were fortunate enough to have the Secretary of Commerce and two of his staff members grace us with an appearance for about 30 minutes. So had a lot of their staff people called in, teleconferencing in, and then Secretary of Commerce and local people and city staff for the utilities and everything were present. So it was a good meeting. I think it was very productive, and hopefully it'll be moving forward here shortly. So, okay, any other questions from Lana? Well, that'll cover that. Nicole, would you like to talk to us about workforce or whatever else you're into?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's not on my report, but since Lana touched on it, the builders trainings that we've been working on with the high school and the college, the Builders Association met over the summer and gave us a pretty good roadmap of what they would like to see. Students come out with training-wise that they could get to work on job sites. So we submitted that to the high schools and the college, and in the spirit of cooperation, they are moving forward, hopefully with that program, with the thoughts of maybe sharing an instructor between the three entities. I think space is somewhat a little bit of an issue at each place, plus they don't have a need for, none of them have a need for a full-time position. So they're thinking they can move forward and share that position between Holcomb, Garden City, and the community college. So hopefully that will get going soon. We also continue to work on the Perkins 5 funding. This is that reviewing our past 5 years of Perkins funding and those programs and how they've performed in our service area, which is about 5 or 6 counties. We are at the point now where we've had our employer meetings and got their feedback, and now we're actually writing the assessment. That's really going back through and identifying our strengths and our weaknesses, which is sometimes hard to do, but it needs to be done. So doing that, writing to why it's a strength or why it's a weakness and why it needs to become a strength. And then on some of the programs, we are a little close on possibly losing the funding for those programs. So we have to write to why we feel there is a need for those programs in our area. Just because they're not necessarily a job in our area doesn't mean we aren't training them for other areas. We don't like them to leave, but it does. Cosmetology is a perfect example of that. Our program is full, but a lot of these kids that are students going through cosmetology are going elsewhere to work in cosmetology. So just getting kind of creative on how you write to that to maintain your funding. Also been working on the 4-year degree assessments. Mark Malone asked us to do some surveys on potentially offering 4-year degrees here on campus, and they were business, criminal justice, and education. We closed the survey Sunday night, and the feedback's been pretty positive on it. I think people are hungry to have that type of education here. So I've been going through and compiling that data and the results and putting them in a report, and I should have that to Dr. Ruda and Mark later this week. As the non-credit classes, we've been working on that. That was one of Dr. Ruda's initiatives, is he wanted to do some classes just strictly for the community that weren't necessarily credit-based. And so Tech Ed has been working on some Microsoft Office and QuickBooks and things like that type classes that they need. And we kind of did some funner things and decided to do Classwood Pellets is going to do Traeger Turkey Days. They're going to teach people how to cook their Thanksgiving turkey and a prime rib, plus sides and desserts. And he's got a rep from Traeger coming out on November 16th, so that should be good. They're going to charge $25 for the class, and all the proceeds after Ryan Klaus's expenses are covered, he's going to donate it back to the meats judging team. So that's a good event. And we're also in the process of working on a beer tasting class with the brew house, and he's going to do some food pairings along with the beers, and probably do that, I think, after Thanksgiving, early December. We've been working for about the past 6 weeks on this workforce summit, and we're calling it the Western Kansas Workforce Challenge. So we have speakers scheduled from 9 to 4. We're going to have it on November 20th. It's going to be at the Perryman Athletic Complex on the campus at Garden City Community College. $49 a person. I think we have a really good lineup. It's really going to address all the issues that employers in our part of the state have been dealing with. So we have a guy coming from Denver that's going to talk on essential skills. Mr. Kreitzer is going to come talk about the education workforce alignment that he's dealing with at the state level. We have a gentleman from Salina coming to talk about that he has a disability that he was born with, and so he's going to talk to employers about how you deal with employees with disabilities. Apprenticeships are going to be addressed. Bandura Plus is going to come talk about investing in your workforce. So I think we have a really good topic of events The registration is open. You can go to our website and it'll take you to the registration page. So we've been working on that. Think it'll be a good event. Any questions?
On the Perkins 5 deal, were you able to get any kind of movement in moving the meatpacking industry out from the culinary?
Yes, they did move it out. They didn't adjust our reports, so it still kind of skews our data. We just have to write to that in our assessment that their data configuration was wrong. And basically, I have to write a reasoning as to why it needs to be moved out of where it is, but it's getting moved out, so.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we will move ahead. Shannon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So if we look at our social media, we can see our website at greatergardencity.com had just under 3,000 visits for the last month. Something that's interesting that's coming up with this is I'm getting a lot of those stories pushed directly to my Facebook or to my news feed in Google, where just like I have my default, if I bring up my phone and then it just brings up news. It seems to be picking up Greater Garden City more often than it was before. So something either is jiving a little bit better with Google, or it's been around for long enough where Google trusts it more, where it looks like it's posting those things to news in general and pushing them out around the area. The biggest stories there are the biggest places where people landed. The first one was the community calendar. That's the biggest thing this last month. Boo at the Zoo, the Street Outlaws story, Garden City Community College being named a top 50 school for transferring, and then the Shoot for Scholarships fundraiser was the top. The fundraiser, the part that is still there, just the event isn't there anymore. So there's that. If we look at the Facebook pages, Garden City Journal had a total of 141,000 post views over the last 28 days, or 5,000 a day. And that equates to almost 23,000 unique people. So we have a large amount of unique people over the last 28 days, and then every day a lot of views on that Facebook page. The top post there was Katsu Mariachi moving downtown. When Hertz Donuts came, remember about a month ago, Hertz Donuts came. They contacted the Garden City Journal Facebook page and said that they would give out a dozen donuts. And so we had a contest where they could leave a comment or whatever. And then we picked one, and then that person that got picked got to choose a service organization or a government office or something like that to give that dozen donuts to. And that person that won gave them to Cornerstone. So that picture about Cornerstone getting a dozen donuts did pretty well. Just a Minute Garden City are the next two ones. And that's a new video series that I'm putting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I do a 1-minute video about things that are going on in Garden City, and I think I have some Holcomb in there too. Some Garden City and Holcomb things, 1 minute, it's 6 things. It goes really quick. You can watch it and see how bad I missed the 1 minute mark at the end. But those seem to be doing well. And then the last top post from Facebook was Sealynn winning the City Clerk of the Year award. And then Greater Garden City's Facebook page is also doing pretty good, about 200 views a day. So that's social media. For strategic services, one of the things that I'm working on is with the Groundwater Management District. We're looking at putting together a report like we did for the City of Garden City. So if you remember in your utility bills, there's that one sheet, and we looked at it here that says how are you doing with your water and how are you doing compared to your neighborhood and stuff like that. We're looking at doing something similar with the Groundwater Management District. They applied for a grant to do that. So we'll see how that grant goes. It looks like it'll roll out at the end of next year, so about this time next year. So it'll be a project that's long in the making, but that's just starting now. So that's something that's coming up. Any questions or anything? I'm trying to keep it short. I can talk for a long time if you want, but.
Are you getting along all right where I guess you and Nicole gather up the information, you post the articles and stuff?
It's, yeah,
without our
it's
other
a
staff
decent amount of
members.
work to get all this stuff done, but we're getting it, we're managing.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Any other questions for Shannon? Okay,
Thank you.
Good job.
thanks, Shannon. All right, move on to new business. Madam President, you want to cover the retail?
Sure. So Retail
Attractions.
Attractions is a company out of Oklahoma that works with communities in attracting retail projects. We had a call with them over the past month, about 3 weeks ago, and have exchanged some emails since then. But really, we're looking at it as an opportunity to backfill some of our retail areas and help with basically inside the bypass, filling up some of our existing retail and some of the new developments as well. So what we're asking for here is just a consensus from you. We do not have the funds available in our budget, but what we would like to do is go to the city commission and make an ask for a partnership where they could provide us some funding to go ahead and contract with this company. And from our standpoint, it's really about, we're really intentional on what we want and where various retails will fit properly. So what we would like to do is just provide him with development by development opportunities and allow him to take the time to go out and meet with those folks. It's, for us, we've spent a lot of time planning that and how the retail should work within the community to give us the highest and best use of our land, but also to meet the demand and the unique offerings that the community asks for. So we just don't have the time to dedicate staff to actually chasing those retail leads. If we could work with somebody like this who already has those relationships and just basically give them the assignment of going after these various retailers, I think it would be a huge benefit to us as a community, obviously, because we are so reliant on sales tax collections, but also, again, gives us an opportunity to fill some of our real estate that is needing a little bit of attention while the Star Bond area develops.
So,
Should this maybe be a joint venture between downtown and economic development? I mean, there's certainly a lot of retail to be done in downtown, and there's a lot of retail to be done not in the core area.
Right.
But if we're gonna do it,
Right, we've
Put it
already
together.
met with Sheila, and she agreed 100% that this was a good route to go from her standpoint as well. We've identified the buildings that are available in her district and agreed on the list of targeted companies that we'd like to go after. So Sheila will maintain a role in that as well. So again, none of us have the money to do it, but we feel like there's an opportunity to go before the city and ask for them to help us with that. Truly, if we land a single retailer, the sales tax we collect from them is enough to pay for what we're asking for.
so the dollars in a contract like this in relationship to an additional staff person,
Yeah,
they're
so
gonna be close.
less, will be less to do a contract than we would be to have an additional staff person. Plus the fact that they already have those relationships and are in those conferences and so forth where they can actively market us. So in the cost savings of travel to the various shows and retail attraction events, plus the staff person would more than double what the contract opportunities are.
well, and I think if economic development and downtown visions goes to the city commission with a united front, I think the city commission would look way more favorable, knowing that it is a joint effort between the two entities as opposed to just one of us. So I think that would be fine. And this group is basically a recruiter for retail.
Correct.
Any other questions? So what is your wish as to the,
I just need the consensus to go ahead and work on it. You don't need to take any action. If the city commission approves our request, then we'll come back to you with a contract, and FCEDC will be the entity that actually enters into the contract with Retail Attractions. So if we can secure funding for it, we'll bring you back a contract for approval.
I don't really see a
move forward
downside to
there.
it. Yeah, I think it'd be very, very positive to move forward with it, and
And a perfect joint venture, so.
really.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, all right. GCCC contract,
Yeah, so as you guys remember, we came to you earlier this year, and in visiting with Garden City Community College, it became apparent that there were some additional roles that we could help them with as far as the non-credit courses that Nicole spoke about earlier, four-year degree expansions, and all of those different things. And so instead of just working specifically on the technical education programs and how we connect the community college with employers, there were all of these other things that were going to require a pretty significant investment of time and of Nicole's talents. So we approached the college and they agreed to actually doing outside of their regular funding, adding money to that specifically for the strategic services that we had available to them. We did not have them sign a contract. The funding has been received. They've paid us for the work. We simply want to have a contract in place so that hopefully this will be renewed year after year, and we have this contract in place. This is completely separate from their membership funding that they pay each year. Again, this is kind of an outstanding contract. They have been seeing the value of the relationship, and we have no negativity to share about the relationship. It's been going extremely well, and they've been tremendous at participating in the alignment discussions that we've had, and we're really starting to see the benefits of that as they look at new programs. They're really starting to think in terms of all education in Finney County instead of as each individual unit. So we certainly want to continue that. We're just asking that you guys authorize us to complete the negotiations. There may be some wording changes that come up, but certainly we don't foresee any changes that would change the intent of the contract or anything that monetarily or anything that would impact this board having to make another decision on it. So long as we're able to stay within the parameters that are pretty generally set forth in it, we're just asking for your authorization to allow me to enter into that contract with Dr. Ruda, as well as future contracts. If there's no significant changes, we'd like to be able to continue them each year.
And yet we haven't seen that contract.
You should have.
that's the draft there.
The only thing
Yeah,
I've
you-
got is, it just appears to me that the hourly rate is way.
Yes, and that's actually one of the.
Because if we're ever gonna try to sell strategic services to anyone else and make it a viable alternative, we can't sell them at those hours.
And that is actually one of the items that is being struck, that Dr. Ruda actually asked for that to be struck, because when we do the math, it takes Nicole.
$29 and some cents.
It's actually $12 an hour.
You know, $10,000 divided by 340 is
That
29
was the
something.
previous one, when it was
So,
30.
that's my only deal.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes. Originally, they had asked for 20 to 30 hours a week. What we did do was, truthfully, I don't think we're gonna have an issue with them expecting a certain amount of hours. The successes of the programs we've worked on together have more than paid for what they've already contracted to, so I don't think that'll be a challenge. But Dr. Ruda did, in his response to us earlier this week, said to strike the hours. There's no reason that we need to do that.
But I think long-term, is if we're going to have a contract, it's kind of like having a benefit program. We ought to have a contract so that we can use it as a pattern in the future with childcare and marketing entities with other communities. If we're gonna have a contract, it's gonna be one that we can reuse,
Yeah,
change the
that
name
we
on
can
the top
live with.
change the specific things, but we ought to come up with something that we can live with. So you know, I don't have any problem continuing the negotiations, but I'd like to have a little bit more time to read this. So, you know, with that in mind, we're not asking to sign anything at this point in time.
No.
I think the negotiation part of it is fine, but I don't want you to be agreeing, that we're agreeing that you're gonna agree without something we get a look at.
Well, we can email it to you, so if you have
That'd be perfect.
edits
Yeah.
you'd like to make, we can
Yeah.
send it in an editable
Yeah, I
format.
think that would be good, if everybody had a chance, they could take a deal, write their comments, and then come back to it. And then if we look at a revised, then we can even, you know, we're set up in our bylaws that we can vote electronically.
Electronically, yes.
You know, then we can vote on it so that you can keep moving. But I think this is a little
And I
too
think
rough.
you need to define the hours that Nicole is actually gonna spend on their site and out of our office and stuff, so.
Well, and we've worked a little bit before
Clarify it where
on
it's
what we
real.
judge the hourly cost is of our staff to do a project. And I think our charges should be somewhere right in that area, so. Okay.
Okay. Other comments?
No, sir.
Guys are letting this into the
I'm
table
sorry.
down a little.
I'm listening.
Oh, okay. All right, so, Lana and Nicole will continue to do some work on this, get a revision to the revision, out to us by email, and, let y'all get a chance to look at it, review it, when you've got a little more time to, mull it over and digest some of it, and then, send your comments back so we know where we are, but I think basically the action that we're looking at today is that we are in agreement to continue pursuing the relationship with the college and working on a contract for strategic services. So I guess if that's agreeable, we'd just do it by consensus and then vote on a contract when it becomes available. Okay? November, December board meetings. Board meeting for November is not a real big problem since it's the day before Thanksgiving, unless you're all traveling somewhere for Thanksgiving. But Christmas kind of poses a problem. I don't know about you, but Christmas morning, I'm not planning on being here to have this board meeting, so we need
You're
to.
lacking a little in dedication.
Yeah, really.
Well, I've been here. I'd expect gifts from all of you, but I've been here.
Well, the gifts, I would expect the gift to continue, but, you know, attendance.
How about the third Wednesday on the 18th?
That's what I'm thinking. Do you want to make it the third Wednesday for both November and December?
For me, yeah, it's fine.
How's your schedule look, Bob, for the third Wednesday in
Well,
November?
we've got that workforce summit on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so that might conflict two of us,
3 of us.
3 of us.
4 of us.
So that would be,
Wednesday before Thanksgiving on Thursday?
Well, I'm sorry, the
18th.
20, you're not moving it that week, you're just staying on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving,
The
No,
day
he wanted
before
to go
or
the
the
week
week
the
before?
week before.
The week before is when we have the workforce challenge.
Okay, we'll just stay with the day before for Thanksgiving and then move it up to the third Wednesday for December.
Yeah.
Works for me. It work for you, Sam? Good. Ron?
Right now, I'm waiting on basketball or football.
Oh, I thought you were still waiting on a plumber.
Well, that too.
Maybe we could hold the meeting at your cabin, we could all pitch in and finish up the plumbing
Yeah.
for
We
you.
need a retreat.
We do need a retreat.
Just gonna do a retreat.
There's only
Okay,
3 bedrooms, I'm sorry.
with the fact that Lana's gonna be out of here in 10 minutes, I think we'll move forward. We don't have any old business on the agenda. Do you have anything we need an executive session for?
I could, 5 minutes would be fine if you want to do that.
Okay, we'll have, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting and re-adjourn in executive session for 10 minutes. That will make us at
Right on time.
8:15 and you can be out of here.
I can zoom.
So
Okay,
move.
Yeah,
okay, we got a motion and a second. We'll adjourn this meeting and reconvene in executive session for 10 minutes. Thanks, Sheila.